Stories of the Wild West.
Hi, my name's Judy and welcome to my program. Today I'm going to share with you some fun facts, some interesting information, and some great tales about the Wild West. What was, what might have been, and the amazing people who lived that life.
The important part of history is the last 5 letters of the word, story. Wagons?
Different types of wagons that went out with us. Well, there was the Conestoga, which was the huge wagon that had the heavier things that it carried in it. Most folks like myself, we all shared in what was known as a smaller wagon. It was 24 long by 10 feet wide. It had smaller wheels at the front and bigger wheels at the back. And because its canvas was covered in a white linen, it sort of looked like a bonnet. And when we got out to the prairies and those long grasses, well, it sort of looked like a ship sailing. And that is why it got its nickname, Prairie Schooner. Now, you would think that most of us would want to take turns riding up on that wagon, but it was a rickety thing, and it bounced this way and bounced that way, and it was sore on those buttocks. I much preferred to walk than to travel in the wagon.
Some stretches of overland trails were so rough the wagon would bump along hard enough to churn the milk into butter for the evening meal.
There were 3 types of people that settled out west. The first were the farmers, which were more like homesteaders. Then there was the prospectors. And lastly, there were the ranchers. Towns back in those days were much smaller, with the sheriff's office, saloon, general store, and bank usually clustered together for convenience.
Cowboys played an important role in the settling of the West. By the early 1700s, cattle ranching had spread north into what is now Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico, and south to Argentina. The native cowboys were called vaqueros, from the Spanish word for cow. The gunfighting era was born in the late 1830s when Samuel Colt patented his single-barrel pistol with a revolving bullet chamber. But the gunfighter was not common on the frontier until after the Civil War, when renegade bands of Confederate soldiers refused to surrender. Their lawless ways spread as they stole from the hated Union bankers and the railroads, rustled from the wealthy ranchers, and killed anyone who dared stand in their way. So began the era of outlaws and lawmen. The names of some gunfighters are legendary. Jesse James, Billy the Kid, Wyatt Earp, Wild Bill Hickok epitomize the image of the Wild West.
But things were changing. You see, the railway was making its way out west. Built on the backs of Chinese and Irish immigrants, it was bringing civilization. Along with it, around the turn of the 19th century, the free-roaming gunfighters found that the Wild West country could no longer hide them, as technology in the form of telegraphs and telephones cut off their escape routes. The age of the Wild West was coming to a close.